Welcome to AstroEnergy with Astrologer Angel Shelley Overton. Hello and welcome to the AstroEnergy show for Tuesday, April 4th, 2017. The days are flying by. It's not April Fool's anymore. So how are you? Hope you're having a good week. Hope everything's going well for you. It is overcast on its way up to 91 today in Orlando. And so currently it's somewhat temperate. It's 75, but it's supposed to be raining a little bit later, and that's actually going to lower the temperature, thankfully, because I'm not ready for 6 months of 91 and above and high humidity. But I guess that's the price you pay for living in Florida. So let's see. I don't think there's anything else I was going to touch on. So we can get right into what's going on with the charts. Oh, if you are interested in getting a reading during the show, you can call in at 347-994-3365. And that'll get you into the queue. And you just have to push 1 so I know you're interested in getting a reading. Otherwise, you can just listen live on the air. So today we have Sun at 15 degrees Aries. We have Uranus at 23, so they're within 8 degrees, which in orb is of 8 degrees either side, is a conjunction. So definitely the Sun's moving into conjunction with Uranus. And let's see, we've got Mercury at 3 degrees Taurus, Mars at 18 Taurus, in conjunct to Jupiter at 18 Taurus today. 18 degrees Libra. They're both Venus ruled, but they're not in the same energy type. One is earth and one is air. And they don't necessarily cooperate, even though they are both Venus ruled. So it's kind of like Virgo and Gemini. They're both Mercury ruled, but they don't really see things the same way. So I'll get to all this in a minute. I'm just giving you the positions right now. So Saturn is at 27 Sagittarius, and he's in conjunct to the moon right now, which is at 26 Cancer. Pluto's at 19 degrees Capricorn, and that means that he is also within a degree of square to Jupiter in Libra. We have South Node at 2 degrees Pisces, North Node at 2 degrees Virgo, and Neptune at 12 Pisces, and Venus about to go, well, actually, take it back. She's going the other way. So she's retrograde. She just got into Pisces. She's at 29 degrees. So I'm doing a natural chart, which puts Aries on the cusp of the horizon, the ascendant. So that's at 0 Aries, and Venus is 1 degree above the horizon. So lots going on. We have, like I said before, Jupiter is in conjunct to Mars, which is an uncomfortable position and definitely a position of transition, because Mars in Taurus rules action around the body and the physique, and then Jupiter is an energy of transition, but it can also mean, because of Taurus, which rules love and relationships from a love standpoint, attraction, and Jupiter is in Libra, which is also, again, Venus ruled. It is partnerships. So this could be a really difficult energy this week for relationships sustaining. And then there are a few loose squares going on that I'm looking at this chart, and it's like an out of shape, out of alignment square. So we've got Pluto squaring the Sun, squaring Uranus. We've got Mars squaring, actually Mars is not squaring anybody, it's just in conjunct to Jupiter. We have the moon squaring Uranus and Mercury, and Pluto squaring Jupiter, and Jupiter squaring the moon. So it kind of goes all the way around the sky right now. So the biggest energies that we see are the Sun approaching to Uranus right now, and let me see when that happens. Didn't have that written down, but it's very close. I think I mentioned it last week, and I don't have it handy. I apologize. So let's see. The Sun at 24 Sun. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. It's going to be right around. Oh, that's right. The 15th of April. 15th of April is going to be a very rockin' and rollin' day, let me tell you. So Uranus and the Sun are conjunct on the 15th. And we've got let's see here. We've got the trine going on between Mars and Pluto. So Mars, again, taking action around money, around love, around goods and desires, and anything that is of the earth, like gardening and growing, and it's in positive aspect to Pluto. So there can be some shifts and changes, and it's really interesting. I didn't realize it yesterday, but I was in my garden pulling out a bunch of weeds, and I picked a yam because I really like yams, and I don't have any organic yams at the grocery store that I go to. I need to go to a different one, which I do know there's another one, but I never get out there. And so I've got to do that. But I was like, I probably have a bunch of yams in my garden because they grow every summer. The vines are everywhere. And I went out, and sure enough, there was a yam poking up, and I grabbed it, and it's edible and looking good, so I'll probably eat it today. But that's the kind of thing that, changing your garden. I was pulling weeds. I picked a yam. I'm going to get it all in shape. Great time for planting seeds around, growth and things like that, especially in the next day when Mars trines Pluto. And then Venus retrograde, of course, is pulling out a lot of these intense energies around past stories, around women, around love and emotion and desire and illusion and addiction. And that being said, my aunt called me. It turns out that a friend of hers mother passed away on the evening that Venus actually went into Pisces. So it will trigger events where people just are ready to transition. There's also a square between Venus and Saturn in Sagittarius. Sagittarius ruled by Jupiter again. And I talk a lot about this, that Jupiter is a sign of transition. But the reason that is, I don't know. I guess the reason I would say it is because Jupiter is a planet of expansion. It's a planet of spirituality and connectedness to a spiritual side of ourselves. It is the energy that wants us to move on and move out. So wherever it goes, it triggers us to move on and move out and move away from something that had been stagnant and stale and there for a while. So when it connects to other planets that are archetypically connected, and I hope that's the right word, archetypically, archetypically, I'll just stick with that. When it connects to those planets, like if it signifies a man, Mars, or a woman, Venus, or mother, which is the moon, or a father, which can also, Saturn is in Sagittarius, but if there's a trigger to a father, say the Mars energy, there could also be a transition connected to Saturn and then Jupiter if there's another additional aspect, say Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and they're all in square. This is not the case today. But if that were to be, then you may see a transition of a male figure or a father figure, even if it's a popular public figure. So, whenever we have Jupiter triggering certain planets, we can see an inclination. And then the other thing, which I was just thinking about in the last 24 hours, is that Pisces is also an energy of the ocean and oil and chemicals. And I was just reading about a half hour ago about this chemical attack. I can't remember. I think it was in, it's definitely in the Middle East, say Palestine. I don't remember exactly, but I looked it up, and it was, if you see the article, don't go to the link, because on Facebook they showed very graphic images, and it really triggered me. But it is that kind of thing as well, especially squaring Saturn. It can be use of chemical warfare against other cultures, because the Sagittarius influence brings in the other cultures. So a lot of strong energy there. Venus is, again, it's women and elderly women. It's the last sign of Pisces, which in the zodiac, you go through all the signs and you end up at the last sign, which is Pisces. And then the last degree of the last sign is going to be a very old person, because that's somebody who has lived a long life and gone through everything. And that's the symbology of that degree of that sign. And being Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, they tend to be people who are wise, who are sage-like, who will live a long time. When you see any energy in Pisces, they're elderly people, along with Capricorn, which also rules the structure of the body and the elderly. So we'll see that when we see Capricorn or Pisces. Now, oh, you know what? Never mind. I just had a stray thought. Stop that. Go away. So Uranus conjunct the Sun, opposing Jupiter. Sun in Aries, and in and of itself, it is a ruler of Leo, but it is the ego. It is the centeredness of self. And in Aries, again, new energy, fresh, coming into the world, wanting action, wanting things to be fast and furious and exciting. It is an exciting energy. It is a fire sign, and it's an energy where we want to keep moving forward. All the fire signs want to move and want to do. They want something to do. And coming up on Uranus, which is typically it's the ruler of Aquarius and air energy, it's a thinker. So when you, and air and fire, it's in fire. So air and fire obviously fan the flames. So when you have the Sun, the central fire ball in the sky, coming up on Uranus, Uranus is going to bring out, well, this is an interesting dichotomy. The Sun is ego, but Uranus actually is the archetype of egolessness. It is the detachment from ego and wanting to come removed from self. So having the Sun in Aries, which is very egoic, and going up on Uranus, which tends to be detachment from ego, we're going to find where we are not necessarily engaging an awareness of self, because Uranus will, Aquarius, the sign of Uranus, whenever you know an Aquarian, what they do is they can play with you intellectually. What they do is they have such an awareness of all angles of something, like, as an example, Libra is dual air energy, and it sees both sides of something. It can even see all sides, which is why it can't make a decision. Uranus sees not only every side, but every dimension. So it is extremely aware, extremely intuitive and understanding, and it doesn't use emotion, it uses intellect, but it channels the electrical energy from the environment. So it thinks as fast as electricity can move through the synapses, very fast. So when you have the ego approaching Uranus, you're going to see that there may be an egoic power play around intellect. So you'll meet people who are extremely intelligent but have the blinded quality of adding the ego into it, which is unlike the typical Aquarian or Uranian energy. So having the Sun next to Uranus is going to shine a light on things that are Uranian, which is radiation, because it was discovered around the same time. I want to say uranium was associated with the timeline that Uranus was discovered. I probably shouldn't say that as a fact, but I know there is a very strong connection to uranium and Uranus. So it's also explosions and lightning and things that are very quick in nature. So our egos can be very changeable when it comes up on Uranus. So wherever Aries falls in your chart, you're going to find that people can come and go very rapidly, that there may be a strong sexual attraction to someone, and then they come and go. You'll find that you can't necessarily trust what's coming in 100% because it changes so rapidly, that it's not that it's a lie, it's more that it just is here and gone. So it's a very quick transitional energy. And it's honestly the higher octave of Mercury and a little bit intense, a lot more intense than Mercury, but it can also mean accidents. And in Aries, it can mean head accidents or issues arising from blood issues. So, yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other symbology here. And ankles. Ankles are also ruled by Uranus, so that you might want to be careful walking and look twice when you're stepping, because you might accidentally find a pothole or unfirm ground. So yeah, just be aware of head injury or head, like something potentially happening to the head, or if you have that, definitely get it looked at. Okay, Mercury in Taurus is around slowing. I'm making up words now. Slowing down, slowing down the mental energy and trying to really get a grasp on where things are at. And of course, Mercury is trying to Saturn. So it is also about understanding other people's nature and how you can potentially make money from other cultures. Import export could be something that comes about this month during this energy. And especially with Mars in Taurus, Mars rules Aries, and that is sales. Taurus is about the goods. So this is a really strong month of retail goods. And in about 15 days, we got Sun going into Taurus, so that will be a continuation of it. So probably for the next month and a half, it's going to be a really strong energy around goods and retail. So we'll see that. And let's see what else. So definitely having some of the issues. I'm looking at Jupiter here. Home and family, moon's at the last degrees of the home and family. So we're seeing something happening there. I wouldn't be surprised if there were more transitions. Again, like I said, my aunt's friend's mother, which is kind of remote, but still a mother figure passed away. And, having the moon in Cancer, it also symbolizes mother. So there could be issues of an ending to a story around mother. It doesn't mean the mom's going to pass away. It just means that there's a really strong energy around a shift and a transition associated with mother, and Pluto is still within an opposition energy to the moon. And then we have the inconjunct with Saturn, which is transition and structure as well. So it could be deep insights coming about with you being a mother or having the mother energy. If you channel the energy of Saturn or channel the energy of Pluto right now, Pluto is the energy of deep wanting of a change and a shift in the structure and system and organization of things in your environment. And of course, Saturn is also, because it rules Capricorn, but in Sagittarius, it's about play and play structures and information, education. So there's a combination of that. So interestingly, my son was just here last week, and he's in college, and of course the issues around education came up. We still have some issues there. Saturn can also rule insurance and the government, things like that. So there are some things that came up with the situation around some of the grants and things that he has that came up. So educational structures and systems, and of course the IRS is part of that, because I had to actually print a transcript to give to the college. So the IRS came up in that. So Saturn is very much about taxes and insurance and things like that, the structures of the organizational systems. Okay, so today, I think I might have even already touched on it. So the Jupiter opposition, I think, was the title of the show. And let's look here. Oh, Saturn retrograde. Okay, sorry. Saturn retrograde. Yay. So Saturn goes retrograde next week, and actually I'm going to do one more little housekeeping thing here, going through some of the other aspects that we're going to get before we take a couple calls. And that is tomorrow Saturn goes retrograde, which is, and I will talk more about it, but that's at 10:06 p.m. Pacific and 12:01 a.m. Actually, no, I take it back. At 1:06 a.m. That's really interesting. So right before, it's just I'm looking at the layout of the book that my daily planetary guide that I look at. They have Saturn on Wednesday going retrograde for the Pacific time zone. Then you go to Thursday, which is where Saturn turns retrograde for Eastern. But in between, they also have Mars trine Pluto, which happens at 12:01 a.m. So that happens just before in the Pacific time zone at 9:01 p.m. and then 12:01 Eastern. So we have two things going on tomorrow night. Mars trines Pluto, and Saturn goes retrograde. So Mars trine Pluto is already something I've discussed. It's going to be energy around taking action and money, things like that. I wouldn't be surprised if, well, I even read today another article just this morning about the uh, needing for arbitration, or I guess people signed on to go to arbitration when they become a customer at Wells Fargo, and all of the fraudulent activity they've been doing, creating new accounts. I don't know if you know this, but they were creating new fraudulent accounts because they had these unrealistic quotas that Wells Fargo had said that they had to impose on the employees. So the employees, to meet these quotas, these crazy quotas, would start opening new accounts by borrowing $1 or $2 or whatever from someone else's account and create fictitious names and open up all these accounts. And there were like 2 million accounts. So when you sign on with Wells Fargo, apparently part of the terms and agreements of becoming a customer are that you agree to arbitration if anything goes wrong. So they've kind of played that card, and it apparently favors Wells Fargo when they're in arbitration. So that all came up, and I was just reading this interesting article about that. So that's the kind of thing that we're going to see right now is something coming up around finances and the financial structures, because Pluto and Capricorn, change and understanding around the financial structures. So we've got that. And then the Saturn retrograde means that normally Saturn retrograde is a pulling back of energy around career, and it still can be that. But because it's in Sagittarius, Sagittarius is the sign right before Capricorn. So like I said before, and many times, many shows, that as you go around the chart, you create, each sign creates a new energy that's almost in contrast to the energy before. So where Sagittarius is freewheeling, doesn't mind the details, you can't pin them down. They're not terribly interested in responsibility to some other entity. The very next sign is all those things. It's very responsible. It's detail-minded, ownership-minded, responsible, and everything like that. So the ruler of Capricorn is now in the sign before it, which means Sagittarius is the sign that is somewhat hidden in the subconscious to the Capricorn energy. So some responsible, everything that's Capricornian, so authoritarian, paternalistic, government, structures, bosses, the structure of the body, the skeleton, all these things, we're going to have a strong potential to find out some information, and probably have already been feeling some of this energy around needing to get more information around what's going on with our body, what's going on within the work, what's happening there. And as Saturn is in Sagittarius, it'll be foreign affairs, it'll be education, it'll be cultures, other cultures. This is all stuff that's really right now in the forefront of our minds in the country as well, which is Muslim bans and people of other cultures, and some of the difficulty going on in our country right now with race relations. So as Saturn goes backwards, it really wants to awaken us to those issues and where we've been with them. And it wants to not only, and this is the last time it's retrograde because it's 2.5 years in a sign, it retrogrades every year it's in a sign. So it's been retrograde at least once before, if not twice before. So it's basically going over some of these issues we've already seen, but by nature, Saturn can be in an opposite energy, can act opposite. So it can act more like Jupiter, which is the natural ruler of Sagittarius. So there's kind of this layer going on of energy around going back over what we've already done, but really because it's the last retrograde before it changes signs at the end of the year in December, it is really asking us to pay attention this year, because we've already gone back over this when it went through an earlier degree a year ago. This time through, because it's beginning at 27 degrees, it is the late degree, it is time for a change, it is culminating everything that the theme has been in our lives. Have we changed what we wanted to change? Have we made the move we wanted to make? Are we transitioning in our lives the way we need to? Have we paid attention to the spiritual side of ourselves? All of these things that are Sagittarius ruled and expansive for our lives as we've moved with Saturn to the latter degrees, it's really been a time in the last 6 months of understanding what we truly desire, what we have to have in our world, and seeing the restriction that we've had around these issues. Like, when people, or when situations or people pull something away from you, you may recognize the desire to have that thing. It's like, wait a minute, you can't take that away. Not only can you not take it away, I'm digging my heels in and you're not going to get it, because this is something that I have to make my life the way I want it to be this lifetime. So we have very strong understanding and connectedness to the thing that is maybe being pulled away from us at that time. So as Saturn goes retrograde, we're going back over those things. Did we get what we needed? Are we moving the way we want to? Do we have the people in our lives that we need to support where we want to be? All these things are going to be triggered for the next 5 or 6 months. So I think, let me just look and see when Saturn goes direct. I think it's August. So August 26th, it goes direct. So we have until August to really go back over some of these energies, and it goes 6 degrees, only 6 degrees. That's not too much. It still stays within the last 10 degrees of Sagittarius. So it is about what we're doing to transition to the next phase, which is Capricorn, and structure and ownership of our career, ownership of our life purpose, ownership of our own authority. So think about it. Every time there's a cycle like this, we're getting a new generation of people in charge. So that's what we're doing now. We're really finding those people who are learning about things. Like Sagittarius is the house of higher understanding, higher education. It is like archetypically the sign of higher education before you go get a job. So at the end of the year, when Saturn goes into Capricorn, it's time to really buckle down and do that career, do that life purpose, which is the job. Right now we're still in learning and education and transition and expansion. So it is the final pass over all those things that we've been learning about for the last 2.5 years. It's about the childlike nature, play, laughter, all those things. Have you done those? Have you found your spiritual niche? Have you found your group of friends who you really laugh with? Are you in the right town, which is probably even more than anything? Are you selling your house? My sister put her house up for sale this week. So it's affecting her, but she also has a Gemini sun. So, it's really interesting what's going on with the Saturn retrograde. So until August, if you haven't moved where you want to move, now's the time to do it. Now's the time to start thinking about it or getting everything in order so that when Saturn goes direct in August, you're out the door. Everything's in alignment. You know for a fact this is what you want to do. And this next 6 months is really about getting you in alignment with where you need to be and physically need to be. Are you in the right place? Are you spiritually in the right place? So there you go. I hope you have a good time trying to follow along with that. I'm going to take a break real quick here, and then we will be back for some calls. I look forward to talking with you.
In these days of stress, running around, responsibilities, we all need a little place to go to make it all better. Is that place sports? Football? Or maybe you like to garden, paint, or just listen to music. Wherever your happy place is, you can find a shirt or mug to reflect that happy place. At myhappyplace.rocks, we have a variety of lifestyle products, including iPhone cases, pajamas, and pet items, all with beautiful, colorful designs, which help us go to our happy place. Stop by on the web for great gift ideas for others and yourself. myhappyplace.rocks. Lenny Pickett appears courtesy of Random Act Records. Check them out at randomactrecords.com.
Okay, welcome back. My name is Shelley Overton. I'm an astrologer in Orlando, Florida. And if you are interested in getting a reading from me, you can get me at astrologerangel.com. That's my website. And if you want to listen to the program over on archival in the archives. You can get it there. If you are interested in listening as a YouTube video, you can go and subscribe to my YouTube page. Link is there. And if you don't know your rising sign, you can find it there. You just scroll all the way down. There'll be a little link with a star on it that says get your rising sign here. So let's get on with the show. Let's see who we have in the queue. 111. Hi, 111. How are you?
Hi, Shelley. This is Jane. How are you doing?
I'm good. Have you called the show before?
No, actually, this is my first time.
Oh, wonderful. Welcome. It's good to talk to you. Yeah, let me get your information. Are you a Jane or a Jayne?
Jane.
Okay, wonderful. And what's your birthday?
It's June 18, 1970.
19 what year?
70.
Oh, 1970. Okay, great. And what time?
5:32 a.m.
Okay. And where were you born?
In Canada, Scarborough, Ontario.
Oh, okay. That's where Superwoman is from.
Oh,
yeah. Do you know who that is?
Superwoman.
Well, Superwoman, the YouTube lady who has like 2.5 million followers, or actually she probably has even more than that. But she's from Scarborough. Yeah.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I should check that out.
Yeah. So what can I do for you today?
Just wondering if you see any changes coming up for me as far as work.
As far as work. Okay, let's look at what you got. You got a Gemini rising. So, wow. So you said 5:32 a.m., right?
That's right.
Okay, wow. You were born within 2 minutes of the sun coming up. How interesting is that?
Oh.
So, yeah, you're a double Gemini, which is not, I mean, it's ironic, but because Gemini is a sign of twins. Yeah, so you've also got a Gemini rising at 24 degrees. So you have 26-degree Gemini sun and 24 Gemini rising. So let's see. Career is ruled by Aquarius at 27, and you also have a ton of Pisces up there. So everything with Pisces is going through there, and definitely you want to change because obviously with the Venus going retrograde back into that house, Venus, and, you know, I've mentioned this, you know, for weeks, the Venus retrograde, but Venus going retrograde in your house of work or career means that you do want to change something, and you've already probably changed a lot. I mean, you should have been changing it anyway because Uranus went through that transition quite a few years ago, like 5 to 6 years ago. Now you've got Venus also triggering this point. So Venus is your desires, and so is there a woman who's standing in your way, or is it something within you? Are you the woman? Its deepest desires. So Neptune is up there as well, and Neptune is your ideal situation, but it's also where you, again, are not always paying attention to some of the signals, and you're very accepting of things. So part of the issue is that you're probably complacent and saying, you know, well, it's okay, you know, I can wait longer if I have to. Venus doesn't want you to wait longer. Venus wants you to pay attention to really what your true desires are, and they're both desires, okay? Neptune is a higher octave of Venus, so they are both desire. Neptune is the ultimate and even the penultimate desire. It's like, what would the best possible situation be if you could have it? And so that's up there, and it's very intuitive, very psychic, and connected to past lives, and also very creative. So Pisces rules the arts, it rules film, it rules expression of a story and a storyline. So you want to tell the story. That's part of, you have a North Node up there. It's also interesting because North Node is the energy that we transmute whatever we brought in, and for you, you brought in very detail-minded, family-oriented, giving up your life for the family. That's part of your story, what you came into this world from karmically. You're learning how to, like, universally love, and that also translates to loving yourself and loving the fact that you look at career slightly different than probably society in America, because, well, let me qualify that a little bit. The Virgo energy is the sign of the worker. You have South Node in Virgo and Pluto in Virgo, and it's in the house of home and family. So you were taught like a work ethic. You have an inborn work ethic. You understand it, and you see the work as connected to family. The other side of it is your North Node is up in career, and that's the father figure. That's the ownership of your, the structure of your life purpose. That is what you're here to learn. You're here to learn how to universally love yourself and love what you do and give that to the world because it's in the spotlight. Your North Node is within 7 degrees of your midheaven. It's right up there at the top, wanting the spotlight. And the spotlight is knowing that you have this tremendous intuition and wisdom to give the world. So interestingly, the South Node in the sky currently is within 3 degrees of your North Node, which means a balance. It's a culmination and balance of the past and the future, so that the South Node's bringing in what you need to balance, and the North Node's also bringing in what your South Node needs. So it's really asking you to just appreciate the synergy of both energies, the detail and the psychic side, and you're a very loving, giving person. So do you have a question in there? Because, I mean, I know you asked about your career and everything in the transition, but do you have a more specific question about timing? Because I could go on and on. You've got a lot of stuff going on in this.
Well, timing, yeah. Like I'm just going through challenges right now. I do want to make a career change. I want to move on to something new. Just stuck where I'm at, and I don't know what it is.
Okay, well, this is a really good thing. Your Saturn is at 17 degrees Taurus, and it falls in your 12th house, which is the Neptune house. So everything I said about Pisces is also triggering your career in your 12th house, because that's what rules your 12th house. So Saturn is owning what's going on. Between your North Node and your Saturn in Taurus in the 12th, you're needing to pay attention to your intuition. And for you, interestingly, your Saturn in Taurus rules money and the physical structure of money and value. And because, I mean, a huge lesson in your chart is the value of your own intuition and finding a structure that supports the intuition and the intuitive side, the wisdom side of your life. And you have a tremendous amount to give. Mars right now, which is action, is right on your Saturn. So it's like, yeah, you got to take action. Now, my suggestion would be, it's twofold actually, because your natal Saturn has Mars on it in the 12th with all the Pisces up in your career house. So it's definitely connected to intuition, possibly even the elderly, connecting to the intuitive psychic side of yourself and acknowledging it. You need to acknowledge it. And also Mercury in the 12th there in Gemini, you need to communicate it. And because Mercury in Gemini in the 12th means that you may not always be very vocal, even though it's a chatty sign. It's more like a psychically chatty sign. So you have a lot going on in your brain, right? And it doesn't necessarily get shared, but it's there. And you need to share it. And as Mars goes through and it goes from Saturn to your Mercury, then to your Sun, what it's doing is it's taking information from Saturn, which is the structure of your career and your life purpose, and it's saying you need to nurture and grow something. Whether that's money, you need to value it and nurture it and grow it. And then it goes to Mercury and it says, I'm getting this really strong desire to express it. How are you going to express it? On top of it, Mercury in the 12th is giving you very vivid visions or dreams or communication from the other side, whether you know it or not. Do you know it? Do you know how psychic you are?
There's, I have, I'm intuitive. I know, but I don't have the psychic abilities, but,
Well, you do. Everybody does. You may have not developed it, but because I know Saturn and Taurus can make a person very dogmatic and very materialistic, but for you, it's in the 12th house, which can actually melt that away. So it also connects to, again, because it's the house of oil and water and liquid and stuff like that, that could be part of a career. So like Saturn and Taurus in the 12th house could mean that you're somehow connected with the oil industry, or you're an accountant for an oil firm, things like that. That's just like one pragmatic side of things. The other side is that you need to connect to let me see. So anything that's monetary, but in an intuitive way. So like financial, like taking more financial channels with your intuition. Like it could be stock market, definitely could be the stock market. And then the other thing is Saturn right now for you, the planet of career, is in the sky in your house of partnership, and it's in Sagittarius. So when it retrogrades, it's going to go back into your house of work, which means that's probably going to be the change for you. It only goes to 21, but it does get back into your house of work. And I would say over the next 5 months until August, like I said, those months are about really shoring up what it is your vision is and what you want to do. Because Neptune will also go retrograde in that time. So it is about going back over where you're already at. And I know you're really getting frustrated. Mars is on your Saturn. You want to do something with it. So what you want to do is right now visualize, okay? Because Mars in your 12th house is about creating the vision. And then when Neptune goes retrograde and Saturn goes retrograde, then you're going to be going back over like the vision and saying, okay, since I have the vision, what do I need to do pragmatically to align with it so that when Saturn goes direct in August and it gets back into your house of partnership, you know where you're at with your job. And not only that, you will be very strongly drawn to do what you need to do to move and change. That change is coming. I can tell you, because this is what I do. Saturn has to hit 24 degrees direct, which is going to happen probably in August. Nope, it'll be, late October, 24 and 47 minutes, which all the way to November. So November 3rd is the date that you're looking for, okay? Write down November 3rd. That's when Saturn gets finally back out of your house of work and into your house of marriage and partnership. And that's when you're really going to make that final decision on where you're going. But it'll be a work in progress over the summer. Okay? Is that okay?
Mark that on my calendar.
Yeah, and also October is going to be really big for you as well because Jupiter goes into Scorpio, and that's about your value to others. And then after it's there, it goes, I think by the end of the year, it'll go into your house of work. So right after Saturn gets out of the house of work, then Jupiter goes in. And Jupiter goes in on December, 15 and 47 minutes. So it'll be December 26th, the day after Christmas. Actually, it'll be overnight, probably late Christmas Eve. So, yeah, between Thanksgiving and Christmas are a really big time for you with a shift and change around all of the energy of work and probably some partnership issues coming up. Are you married?
No, I'm single.
Okay, well, there could be somebody coming in from far away or someone of another culture. Saturn and Sagittarius is someone coming in, creating the structure. So, yeah, end of the year is big on that too. So, yeah,
I'll meet somebody around that time.
That's the time when you'll probably meet your tall, dark, handsome stranger from another country. Maybe a nice tall Italian guy. Pardon me?
Okay. From another country. Okay.
Yeah. Saturn and Sagittarius, it rules your house of marriage and partnership. But he'll be a committer. You know, you've got, it's in December, Saturn goes into Capricorn in your house of partnership, so that's about commitment. Okay?
Oh, that's great. Look forward to that. Thank you so much.
So you're welcome. Anyway, thanks for the call.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye. So many details I throw out there, huh? I give a lot of details. Anyway, 651, how are you?
Hi, Shelley. This is Linda.
Hi, Linda.
So, in the middle of March, we looked at the chart for this fella with the 1/31/56 birthday, and one of the things that came out of that was, there's a lot of things that came out of that, and certainly a lot of information. But one of the things that we looked at was something about, in my chart, about coming to the end of a karmic relationship, and I'd like to look at that some more.
Okay, sure. In your chart?
Because we've continued to text. I haven't been comfortable to speak by voice, but what you were speaking about Aquarius, people earlier in the show, it's like, wow, it's like you can just go, it's like, wow, what a difference a week made. What the hell happened? There's like one flavor, 1 week, and then the next week it's like, what? What happened?
Yes. Yeah, that's what happened.
And I
it's
personally
very quick
just
change.
feel like like my energy circuits are being what is
triggered?
the word? Yeah, triggered, but like interfered with.
Oh.
Like interference. And the other thing that came up in through this too was, so my son's dad that I was married to was an Aquarius, and he was also a thief. And and then Dan, this 13156, is
I've got him.
Been a thief since he was a child. It turns out, because he was a blue baby, the cord was wrapped around his neck. And in high school, he said that they told him he had a special assessment because he kept stealing from the neighbors and didn't have any.
Wow.
They said he doesn't have a conscience.
Yeah.
I said, did they say you were a sociopath? Because that's kind of what I think you are.
Yeah, well, Aquarius energy, you never know.
And then a couple other fellows in my life, not as long term as these fellows, were thieves and Aquarius.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, definitely there's a detachment associated with Aquarius, and it can be sociopathic. I mean, not going to lie. I mean, sociopaths basically have no conscience or no empathy for someone else. And just kind of like a little astrological background to give you perspective, Mercury, again, similar energy. Mercury is a mental energy, as is Uranus and Aquarius. So you've got that inclination to think things through, and it's more of a neutral energy, and they both are somewhat asexual or kind of sexually neutral or alternative. It isn't like the typical, like, straight or heterosexual energy. It can be alternative, and its power, sexual power and power energy, are all kind of alternative. So it is very mental. It's expressed in a mental way. That's why it isn't sympathetic, because it's not that type of energy. It's very clean, cut and dry energy, as far as like how it expresses. Yes, because they see all angles. Yeah. Definitely it's not every Aquarius, but I mean, my son has an Aquarius rising and 3 planets in Aquarius, so I can see how he can toy with people, and I think I mentioned that at the beginning of the show. Definitely it's that. And okay, hang on a second.
And I have an Aquarius rising.
Yeah. I did a sunrise chart for your guy, and he's Aquarius at 10 degrees rising for sunrise chart. And then you have a 2-degree Aquarius rising with the North Node at 0 Aquarius. So, yeah, the Aquarius energy, see, you're seen as an Aquarian, but you're not. You're much more the opposite, because the majority of your planets, matter of fact, everything falls in 5 houses. So you've got most of them over there in Leo and Virgo and Libra. So, it's not necessarily a familiar energy, even though it's your rising sign. You don't have any planets other than the North Node there. It's really the energy you're here to understand. Again, the North Node is how you transmute what you've brought in from the past, which means you've reconciled it, and now you can move forward. So the moving forward part is, this is what you're going to. You're going to the Aquarian energy. You're going to the detachment, because you're extremely attached. You have Moon in Leo, Pluto in Leo, South Node in Leo. That is the relator of the zodiac. It's the opposite sign of Aquarius, so it wants to relate. I don't know how Leos and Aquarians actually get along, because I have Venus in Leo, and Leo just wants to go, hey, how are we alike? What do you got? Let's see what we have in common. And Aquarius is just like, ew, get away. Why are you trying to relate to me? I don't need this. So I don't know how that opposite attract thing works with those 2 signs. So, yeah, I mean, he's got Mercury, Chiron, and Sun in Aquarius, and definitely Chiron next to his Mercury. Literally, Chiron, which is the wounded healer, falls between his Mercury, which is how he thinks, and his Sun, which is his ego. And so the wounding is in the subconscious. It's in how he expresses his ego. It's in how he expresses himself and how he thinks. So, yeah, he's really got some issues with it for sure. And that's what I want to say about the Aquarian energy. You can have Aquarian energy, but if it's not afflicted, it's not going to express that way. He's got a really strongly afflicted Aquarian energy. Chiron in Aquarius in the 12th house. It doesn't get any more afflicted, for an Aquarius energy. It's like, whoa, the wounding is around his connectedness to, in the 12th house. The 12th house is the thread that brings the story through for everybody, how we're all connected, how we're all related. That's what Pisces is. It breaks down barriers. When you have Aquarius doesn't connect to the collective. It's always very autonomous, always independent. That's its drive. So freedom is its hallmark. So when you have Aquarius in the 12th, and then you have Capricorn ruling, he's also got Capricorn ruling the 12th, which is very pragmatic. He's very, sorry, this is the way it is. Oh, well, very, cut and dry. So it can be difficult. So you're still hung up on this guy?
Yeah, I'm amazed that there's so many emotions, that still just huge after 16 years, it's like my emotions are, back to where they were 16 years ago. And, like I said, I'm glad that I've kept it to the texting, because, right. I don't know that hearing his voice.
He triggered you.
It feels like it might trigger me, and I feel vulnerable to him, and
right.
Seeing it in person, really feels, scary, and I'm just, and I have to face, Friday I think it came to me. It's like, wow, I really think after all these years, I had hoped that when I let him break through the surface and actually communicate with me, that he would have had a year off the crack and was working a job and was making amends and those kinds of things, and he's living in a house of charity, and he's signing on the highway. So
what?
He's money.
What about him? What about him is difficult to accept? I mean, like, how do I put this another way? He's shown you who he is.
I know, he's totally telling me, and he's telling me the truth.
So why are you not accepting that that's who he is?
That's the part. I think I accept the part that who he is. What I don't understand is why is it still making me so crazy, and why am I
Because you have Saturn. You have Saturn within 3 degrees of his Neptune. You idealize him.
Oh.
And you also have a conjunction of your Saturn and your Mercury together at 27 Libra. So, Jupiter is expanding the Libra energy and retrograde its old past loves along with Venus retrograde, old past loves. He has a Venus in Pisces, and Neptune is within 5 degrees of his Venus in Pisces right now in the sky. So it's really triggering you. The addiction side of, like, you're addicted to him. He's addicted to drugs. You're addicted to him.
Yep, and that's what it feels like. It feels like a couple weeks ago I got this. It's like, wow, it feels like he's my drug. I'm addicted to him, and
right.
I don't know how to break it.
Well, the way you break it is you unravel what it is that you put on a pedestal about him. What is it that when you think about him, what is it that you're going, wow, that is like the thing that gets me? Like, what is he providing for you that you're not allowing yourself to be? That's why you attract him in. And he's detached. You're not allowing yourself to be detached. You are very very attached. You have Jupiter coming up, expanding your Neptune. Neptune's in Libra, Mercury, Saturn in Libra, and Sun in Libra. Libra wants to kind of save the world. They're the sign that is the social worker of the zodiac, and they want to help everybody. They want everybody to be happy and everything to be right, and you're trying to save him. And interestingly, he's expressing a side of himself that is completely removed and devoid of having to care about what other people think. And that's part of who you see yourself to be. So you really need to start caring about yourself more and developing the side of detachment so that you don't need someone to mirror that to you.
Right.
And that's, I mean, my pop psychology way, my astrological viewpoint is pretty
saying
much
he's no good for you.
Well, I can tell you. Let me, just tell you a little about my personal history. Is that I know somebody who had, his Neptune is in my first house, and his Neptune is at the same degree as your guy is at 0 degrees Scorpio, and my Neptune's at 15 Scorpio in my first house. So his Neptune falls on my first house, right on the cusp. Like I have a 0 degree Scorpio rising. He has 0 degree Neptune in Scorpio. So the guy that you're talking about probably has a trigger for me too somehow, because it's the same exact Neptune as
well, make sure you never meet him.
Well, I won't. I don't go to.
Charming. They're so charming. It's like I never met a con man I didn't like.
Well, and he also has the same Sagittarius Saturn. Your guy does. So,
your guy?
So yeah, I mean they're charismatic. The Gemini Sagittarius axis is very charismatic. Not going to deny it. They just come in and it's like they can attract the masses, and they're also the musicians of the world. So that can give you an idea of just how much power they have. They are the rock stars. So I would say the best way, and it's not forever. You're going to have this break. Jupiter on your Neptune is going to break it. It will.
I hope so. When is
Jupiter
that happening?
is self-interest, and when Jupiter hits your Neptune in October, you're going to be like, heck no, I have value for myself, and that's going to be the break for you. I mean, seriously, right now Jupiter's in Libra.
Like it's been 6 months coming and 6 months to go on the ending of a karmic relationship.
Well, Jupiter's retrograde right now. It goes direct. I had it there for a while, but then all these numbers floating around today, I totally lost it. So it goes direct in June, I believe. June 6th? Hang on. June 10th. So June 10th, when Jupiter goes direct, you're really at the end of the old story around past love, because it's at the end degrees of your Scorpio house. As soon as it hits your Neptune, it will be like, you know what, it'll probably have like a flash, an intensity, it'll intensify, and then Jupiter hits Libra next year around August, September. If it doesn't break, and I think it should break because it's leaving your eighth house of commitment, it will get on your Neptune. There could be something either with him or someone coming in that's more idealized for you. Jupiter will be direct. That will be like, I need somebody who's healthier, more balanced, because, Libra's balanced. It'll actually, October, it'll go on your Saturn just before, I'm sorry, this is this year. I'm looking at, my mind's confusing your chart because it's going into a new house, but it's not going into a new sign. Until Jupiter gets to Scorpio, which is October, it'll go Neptune, Mercury, Saturn. So ideals, ways of thinking, and then ownership. When Jupiter hits your Saturn, which I'll even tell you the date, then I've got to go on, try and get one more call in here. Let's see, it's going to be October. Jupiter on your Saturn at 20, that's actually a little earlier. It'll be in August, I think. September. Okay, so it'll be 27 and 37 minutes, which is September 30th. So September 30th, you have Jupiter directly hitting before it goes in October. October 23rd is when Jupiter goes into Scorpio. Okay. You're going to probably end up moving when Jupiter gets either into your ninth house or into Scorpio. You have two opportunities to move. And that could really open up your life with the Neptune, Mercury, Saturn. Okay?
Okay.
So keep plugging away. At the end of the year,
my guys keep saying there is nothing here for you with him.
Yeah. No, there isn't. He actually, these people that come back in, they come back in right now specifically with the Jupiter retrograde and the Venus retrograde to show us our old patterns and help us to let it go. Okay?
I am totally experiencing old patterns with him.
Okay, and I know because I've got something in my life. I was like, no, I'm not going to go there. I know what the future is. I've already seen Jupiter direct. I've already seen Venus direct in Aries. It's going to be okay. We just have to get through these summer months.
2 months.
And Venus, even till April 15th and April 29th, Venus gets out of this energy and gets back into Aries. And then it's like every person for themselves. That's Aries. It's like I'm not doing that. I'm going in it for myself. And when Jupiter gets to Scorpio, same thing's going to happen because Scorpio is just a higher octave of Mars. So Jupiter and Scorpio is going to be like, I have self-worth. I'm not putting up with other people telling me anything else. And that's when you're going to be able to break it, when Jupiter's on your Scorpio. Because it's ruled by Pluto. Pluto's major life change, and you'll break it. It wants to break it. You'll hit your limit, and then you'll break it. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Thanks for the call. All right, show is over for the recorded part, or for the live part, but it's going into recording. I'm going to take one more call, and that is 614. Hi, 614. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. This is John.
Hey, John, have you called the show before?
No, I haven't.
Oh, lovely. I'm so happy to talk to someone who I haven't talked to. Not that I don't love my regulars, but once in a while it's just nice to have a new chart to do. So what's your birthday?
It's January 20th, 1967.
Okay. And what time were you born?
At 3:15 p.m.
Okay. And where were you born?
Grand Rapids, Michigan.
I've been there. Nice place. Very beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see here. I'll get your information on the location properly in there, and then we'll get your question. What can I do for you today?
Well, after hearing about the Saturn going retrograde, I think I'm responding to it. I'm starting a side business that is engaging my passion. So I'm
wonderful.
Curious as to see how that's going to go, because I've done this again and again over the years, but it never seems to stick.
It never sticks? Okay. This one is going to stick because Saturn's going retrograde. This is the last time. What happens is Saturn retrogrades and it squares your natal Saturn at 25 Pisces. And since it's just 2 degrees off of hitting that Saturn, it just went over the Saturn in a square. And then as it goes retrograde, it will hit your Saturn again. And so what happens is Saturn transits forward, triggers your Saturn, says, hey, wake up. There's something here you got to pay attention to. Are you listening to this? And you're like, oh, my gosh, I really want to do this. This is something that I've been wanting to do, but now I've got this square triggering me, which is really going to shore it up. As Saturn goes across, it triggers you. When it goes retrograde, it says, are you paying attention? Now you need to square up what you're doing about it, which is going to be the next 5 months, okay? Because now you've got, Saturn right now for you is in your house of work. So you're really having to see, because Saturn and Sagittarius in your house of work, so I'm wondering, do you travel for work?
Not usually.
Not usually. Well, interesting. Okay, well, you also have Jupiter hitting your Mars in Libra, and that could also create some triggers for travel, but that's probably more pleasure travel. Okay, well, Saturn is, if you don't travel for work, then you are definitely getting the message. I would hope that there's something more out there for you. There's a spiritual drive that you need to pay attention to, and you need to manifest it in your work environment or you're not going to be happy. That's what Saturn and Sag wants to do. It's spirituality and education expansion. So when it goes retrograde, it's going to act more like Jupiter. It's going to say, hey, I need to have this fun-loving time. I need to be playful. I need to do this, or I'm not going to be able to cope with work anymore. So that's going to come in. Venus up there on your natal Saturn, which she's going to be on, I don't know if she actually connects exactly. You have a 25 Saturn, and let's see how far back she gets before she goes direct. She goes direct on the 15th. And, yeah, she just barely hits it. She's not going to get exact, but she's going to be within 1 degree of your natal Saturn. So she's already giving you the desire. Now you're having the doubt. When she goes direct on the 15th, she'll move out of that doubt, and then she'll get to Aries, and you'll be like, no, we got this covered. This is what I'm doing. You'll find the people that you need. I mean, already everything in your chart for Sun, Uranus, Mercury, and Mars are all triggering your house of people who will help you get where you need, the networking group for the business you want to do, okay?
Great.
That's also the energy triggering independence around career. Uranus in your house of money from career and soul group is saying, I need to be independent. I need to go do my own thing. Venus hasn't caught up. Neptune is going to do some work on you too over the next decade. Neptune's going to hit your Chiron. So there's some kind of wounding around. I got to ask, Saturn in Pisces is the old soul, the wise one, and the psychic. Do you have an intuitive venture you're doing? Is that what you want to do?
Yes, I'm a shamanic practitioner, healer, and coach.
There you go. Okay, well, so Neptune, before it hits your Saturn, and this is a long process. I mean, you have other things that are definitely saying, no, go. But, and Saturn's probably also going to bring someone in who can help you create the structure of what you have in mind. But that'll happen in October. Or no, wait a minute, December. Okay?
Great.
When Saturn gets to Capricorn, it's your house of marriage and partnership. So there could be somebody coming in who's actually going to be someone you can partner with for your business as well. And then Pluto's kind of getting to the end degrees of marriage and partnership, which is changing how you think about the dogma around relationships. So really it's kind of like, and I got chills when I said that. So the Pluto leaving your house of marriage and partnership is really the old dogma, and that's what Pluto did when it came in 2008. For you, it triggered that, like, wow, what is my life? Who am I to other people? What is my value to others? You know, this is the way I was raised. You have to be this person, and you have to be, you know, very structured, and you're the father figure, or, you know, you're the leader and the dad, and like all those archetypes that are associated with Capricorn. And then, like, it kind of, I think it can stifle you if you're not really allowing in other playful, fun energy. And so Pluto, as it gets out of your house of marriage and partnership, is putting you into value. And now it's going to trigger, like, how am I valuable to another person? And then as Saturn comes into Capricorn, you're going to be like, oh, I can be my own boss now. I don't have to have and I can have a partner, and we can do it together. So there's definitely a partner opportunity in December for you, and more like a physical bricks and mortar place, because that's the Capricorn energy. They want the structure. So this person is the systems and structure person coming in for you in December. Until then, you've got the Venus, and then you've got all the Aries and Taurus energy, which is also saying, this is my drive, this is where I want to be, who can I meet, who can I connect to? You're looking for the people that will support you in it. That's your networking. That's what you have to do. Mars in your 12th house is going to just really trigger your intuition about the finances, and it's also within 4 degrees right now of your natal moon and your North Node. So a lot of positive energy going into your chart to make it happen.
Great.
Right now, there's probably, I want to say, a mother figure or a woman who is older, more mature, who's giving you a little bit of difficulty around money. You have Jupiter 29 Cancer in your house of money. Vesta Moon conjunct today. Vesta's the woman who's going to point out all the faults and the problems. So that's going on. But, yeah, don't worry. I mean, definitely the planets are here. This year is about finishing up the old story and making sure you have all your ducks in a row to go on to the end of the year, which is really when it's going to start to really explode for you. Okay?
Great. Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks for the call. Thanks for calling in. Have a good day. Bye. Okay, that's the show for the week, and thank you for listening. If you want to get a reading, astrologerangel.com, and I'll see you next week. Bye.
Thanks for stopping by AstroEnergy this week. If you would like to get a hold of Shelley Overton, you can get her at astrologerangel.com, on Facebook at AstroEnergy or Astrologer Angel. The music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com, with additional music by Ironwood Rain. Check them out on the net at ironwoodrain.com.
You're listening to Love Advice with Leanne. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Leanne. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Why, in your professional opinion, do you never take my calls off the air?
Is this Carl?
Yep, it's Carl. I mean, we had a few dates. Everything was great. I thought,
Well, you know, when you switch to Geico, you could save a lot of money on car insurance.
Okay, awesome.
You should call them.
I will.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
To subscribe, please click the picture of Shelley on the right or the red button below.